Scientists now ponder the problem with the gravitational theory. For more than 3 centuries, the basics of gravity were thought to be pretty well understood. Newton described the force as depending on an object's mass. Though it extends infinitely, gravity weakens with distance, specifically by the inverse square of the distance. Einstein built on these givens in developing his theory of relativity. Pioneer-Spacecraft paths exhibit a slight anomaly, leading researchers to propose a new mission to study the mystery. Imagine the weight of a nagging suspicion that what has held our world together, a constant and consistent presence you had come to understand and rely on, wasn't exactly what it seemed. That's how scientists feel nowadays when they ponder the gravitational theory. More than a decade ago, a researcher noticed something funny about 2 Pioneer spacecraft that were streaming toward the edge of the solar system. They weren't where they should have been. Something is holding the probes back, according to calculations of their paths, speed, and how the gravity of all the objects in the solar system, and even a tiny push provided by sunlight, ought to act on them. Now, scientists are proposing a new mission to figure out what's up with gravity, or the gravitational theory. There are staggering possibilities. Pioneer 10 and 11 launched in 1972 and 1973. Today, each is several billion miles away, heading in opposite directions out of the solar system. The discrepancy caused by the anomaly amounts to about 248,500 miles, or 400,000 kilometers, or roughly the distance between the Earth and the Moon. That's how much farther out the probes should have traveled in their 34 years, if our understanding of the gravitational theory is correct. The distance figure is an oversimplification of the actual measurements. Scientists are quick to suggest the Pioneer anomaly, as they call it, is probably, or could be, partly caused by the space probes themselves, perhaps emitting heat or gas. But the possibilities have been tested and modeled and penciled out, and so far they just don't add up, which leaves open staggering possibilities that would force wholesale reprinting of all physics books. In other words, humankind doesn't exactly know everything yet. There's still some more things to learn. Even the small things. And the small things can mean a lot. Anyway, possibilities. Invisible dark matter is tugging at the probes. Here's a very likely one, or perhaps part of the picture or story, or explanation. Other dimensions create small forces we just don't quite understand yet. Yes, that's a very good possibility. And don't forget about the gravity of the center of the Milky Way, which the Earth, which the Sun will be aligning with in 2012. There will be a lot more gravity involved with that. Yes, it's coming. And another possibility. Gravity perhaps works differently than we think or know. Anyway, at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a handful of scientists who wrestle mentally with the Pioneer anomaly every day. Even though not paid to work specifically on the problem, they have to juggle the disturbing thought with their regular research. which involves other aspects of gravity, and significantly, whether theories that explain the glue of the whole universe might one day match neatly with those describing the invisible subatomic world, or quantum physics. I've been working on the Pioneer Anomaly for more than 11 years now, and was never funded to do this job, one of the scientists tells Space.com. I guess this says a lot about our devotion to solving this mystery. Data from the Galileo and Ulysses spacecraft suggest the anomaly may have affected them too. But neither has been far enough from the Sun, the dominant source of gravity in the solar system, to quite firmly distinguish any possible discrepancy from noise in the data. Galileo was crashed into Jupiter last year, and Ulysses will never go further than it has already. That leaves 2 data points, one from each Pioneer craft, and they are considering the pair as one data point, so as not to inflate the case for strange new physics, even though there's maybe not quite something that they've learned yet. Perhaps, yes. NASA engineers have made their last communications with the Pioneer probes, so the 2 table-sized robots are carrying the unsolved mystery silently to the stars. But there is a new mission proposed. The Pioneer Anomaly was discovered by John Anderson, also of JPL, in the 1980s. For years he didn't publish what he had noticed. Then he discussed it with physicist Michael Martin Nito at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Nito says he almost fell off my chair. Nito jumped into the investigation, and the 2 were later joined by other scientists. They have dug deeper into the data, even tracking down retired NASA scientists for some of it. Unraveling the enigma of the anomaly will require a new mission, the scientists and researchers say. NASA, however, doesn't have such a project on its agenda, has not expressed much interest in one. Europeans, for reasons both historic and having to do with current strong desire to better grasp gravity, seem much more interested in investigating the problem. So Anderson's team recently proposed to the European Space Agency a mission to explore the Pioneer anomaly using the latest instruments and advanced navigation methods. All possible sources of onboard radiation will be eliminated, and the most precisely tracked spacecraft ever to go into deep space. The group writes in the September issue of Physics World magazine that the mission were to find a natural cosmic cause to the Pioneer anomaly. The revelation would rank right up there with other apple-on-the-head moments in the history of physics. If the anomaly is due to some new physical mechanism or quantum physics principle, this discovery would have a truly fundamental impact. One more exotic possibility, they say, is dimensions exist beyond the 4 we know, 3 directions in time. Models of string theory propose that higher dimensions could provide weak forces that act in ways we don't yet comprehend. There could be something on that order, yes. There's more to learn. Yes, a lot more to learn.